Start the meeting then. Good evening and welcome to Coastside County Water District April meeting here this evening. And we would like to welcome everyone here and all our staff that's working hard to make a pretty full agenda tonight here. So thank you for that. And we will have a roll call first and then we'll do some introductions, I believe.
Director Coverdale?
In person.
Director Feldman?
Here.
Director Reynolds is absent. Vice President Michaels?
Here.
President Mueller?
Here. Thank you very much.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. And I'm going to go ahead and get the Eagles head out of it.
We need to cut about an inch off that.
We're going to need a skill saw before the next.
Cut it from the bottom. Yeah.
Oh yeah, please don't cut the head off.
Thank you. At this time, we would like to introduce a temporary evening tonight. Our legal counsel is here, Laura Radcliffe, I believe. So welcome to the Coastside, and thank you for keeping us on track and backing us up. And that's why you're our legal staff. Patrick, we miss you, but you have a good replacement tonight. So thank you and welcome. At this time, public comment item number 3. I will read a comment here. At this time, members of the public may address the board of directors on issues not listed on the agenda, which are within the purview of Coastside County Water District. Comments on matters that are listed on the agenda may be made at the time the board is considering each item. Each speaker is allowed a maximum of 3 minutes. Members of the public attending in person must complete and submit a speaker slip, please. Members of the public attending via Zoom must first raise hand and the moderator will ask to unmute. The president, the president of the board will recognize each speaker, at which time the speaker can provide their comments to the board. Thank you. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
And I would like maybe Laura could voice in on this as well. I remember in the old days that we used to require people to fill out a speaker slip, and we used to ask them for where they lived, their address. And is that legal or illegal or right or wrong? Is it just something that we used to do that it doesn't really match California law or?
Right. So the Brown Act can allow that you ask them, but folks are not required to even have their names, but certainly not their address. I can understand how that would be of interest to the board. So you can certainly ask and make that request, but we can't make people provide that information.
Yeah. So I'd like to make sure that's included in your statement, that we will request that. And if they don't, we don't have to describe if they don't comply, they don't comply. But I think it's really helpful because, you get somebody and they live in Gilroy and, they're all fired up about a rate increase or something. It doesn't seem very germane. I know they're allowed to speak, that it's their right, but I think it's just a good thing to ask.
Good. I recommend that maybe staff could review that and insert that in the comments there. All right, thank you. Now we will move on to item 4 of the agenda. There seems to be no public comment at this time at 4 minutes after the start of the meeting. So we will move on to consent calendar. Please, if people have reviewed the disbursements, may comment.
Yeah, that was my duty this month, and I found the disbursements to be in order. Thank you.
I have 2 comments on the consent agenda.
Yes.
I don't know how many people really read carefully the SFPUC hydrological conditions report. but what a wonderful thing to read. It's amazing. In fact, it looked like SFPUC has more water laying around than Kathleen has in her report. So I was pleased to know that while we're really right on top of it, they're getting more water than we're getting. I don't know. I was really pleased. And I thought the snowpack communication pretty incredible. Only 3 years, I think it was 52, 69, and 83 with bigger percentage increases in snowpack. I thought it was phenomenal. Really good news. And the other thing I thought was kind of cool was their production report continues to be almost all water from our side. And I was ecstatic about that we don't have to pump over the hill in the wet season. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to just kind of whack around, but I thought it was fantastic. You know, Pilarcitos Lake, and thanks to one of our board members, it comes at a pretty good price. And the wells look like they're 97 million gallons or something. 98. Pretty phenomenal. I mean, so it's wonderful because that, you know, we made an agreement with SFPUC years ago that we would try to have more than half of our water come from local sources. So I just, for one, was like, woo.
Yes, is there any other comments on the consent calendar at this time? That it's been reviewed thoroughly by board members. So thank you all for doing that. And that way we assure the public that we don't just make a motion and vote on consent calendars. We take them very serious.
I move we approve the consent calendar as presented.
My second. Been moved and second. Any further discussion on the consent calendar? If not, we will call for a roll call, please.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Reynolds is absent. Vice President Michelson,
Yes.
President Mueller.
Aye. So that is good. Passed. At this time, we move on to item 5 of the meetings attended and director's comments. So we've had some subcommittee meetings this week already, one, and now we have another one coming tomorrow. Director Coverdale, would you like to comment briefly on those?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We're basically interviewing some consulting firms to help us sort of create a pathway on recycled water, or, you know, water reuse, however you want to say it. So we had a meeting about it. We met one consultant. I personally am very impressed, but, you know, it's a little premature to create.
Thank you. We are looking at this, the committee with Director Coverdale and myself, very thorough with staff's professionalism. That's been really guiding us with some great direction on professional questions that we can review when we interview with these past, and now the rest of the week we will be also interviewing a couple more professionals out there interested in working for us. So I think that's at this time the only meetings that myself and any other board members attended.
Yeah, I did have a Bosco meeting last month.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as Ken touched on, I mean, it's looking really, really good. You know, water bank at 100% is great until you introduce curtailment. You know, then suddenly it's not so great. There is pending legislation out there which could really blow up how water is allocated in the state of California. It could put the allocation of water into this state water board's hands. And I'm sure Bob at Alcoa has been watching that, and maybe at a future meeting we can agendize and talk about it in more detail. But it's sad to say we're still worried about water in one of the best water years of our lifetime. Our supply is not guaranteed, and it could be reallocated in a way that could detrimentally affect water districts throughout the state. So for further discussion, thank you.
Yeah, and also we've heard rumors that you know, you're all looking closely at the possibility with all the growth on the peninsula that it could be a reduction in the water possibly to come over to the hill. So that-
Yeah, we are, but as a small district, and I think we're, arguably being run over by the bigger districts, and that our voice really isn't being listened to. We have, representatives from San Jose, Hayward, Redwood City on the BOSC board, and yeah, they dwarf our voice. Yeah, so we're there. Yeah, there's definitely some concern.
Well, if anybody can make the big voice. Vice Chair.
Yeah, I have Nicole on speed dial.
Okay. Thank you for keeping that. No other director's comments, or we can move on to item 6 of the general business one. And we will get going here, which is interesting that we're working so hard for a fire suppressant and a water pump station.
So
I know, thank you.
I will let David take this one for us.
So the fire sprinkler system at Crystal Springs has been down for a while. It's not been an easy project to get our contractors wrapped around. So I put Darren on the task, and of course he delivered after many frustrating calls. So we engaged 3 different contractors. We got 2 responses. One person bowed out. It was too much for him. So we're looking for to rebuild the system. As you know, it's raw water. It's hard. It's hard on the distribution piping at the beginning of the system. We have purchased the clay valve that will reduce the pressure so that we don't get the markup on that. It was $6,500. And we got a low bid from Battalion 1 Fire Protection, and for $40,333. They were $9,000 below the other Aegis fire systems, the other bidder. We like Battalion 1. They've got a good reputation, and the reputation flushes out Cal Fire. So we would like to proceed with this. And I just want you to know that we're going to get a contract to maintain this quarterly going forward, so that we'll have a big expensive repair later. Annual maintenance is going to be about $4 to $6 grand, depending on who we pick. Questions on available.
So
No, I'm happy to know that we're doing this. My question right naturally is, for how long have we not had the system working?
Longer than I've been here. So
Probably not, shouldn't have
been
been.
a while.
So
And I can understand.
not covered. First I've ever heard of it. Yeah, I'm just, this would have seemed like a risk kind of thing for disaster recovery and stuff that should have known about. I mean, I'm glad I'm
Right.
great, super wonderful, but we've had a couple of really large fires recently. Last year, for example. And I'm starting to thank goodness that they didn't go further than they did in terms of whatever they did. So great. Wish we'd done it sooner, but
Yeah, I think there was just mixed feelings because it's there to protect staff, and staff's hardly ever there. The fire sprinklers are there to suppress a fire so people can get out of the building.
okay. It's not to prevent the.
But after the fire season that we had the last couple of years, feelings have changed within operations about the importance of suppressing a fire in the watershed.
Okay, I'm glad, all right.
It became a harsh reality that what if the building did catch on fire? We don't want to.
That's a good message then to get, because the lives are just as important.
Right.
Okay, great, good news.
thank you. Yeah, a couple a real softball one, and I apologize. I'm not familiar exactly. It's up at the Skylon Cemetery. How far up on the hill is it?
It's just past the bridge when you come towards Half Moon Bay from San Mateo. Right as you cross the
That's
bridge.
not up high.
Okay, yeah, no, it's
Right off the lake.
stated Skylon Cemetery, and
That's where we met them because nobody knows.
Okay, thank you.
We like it that way.
Well, at least you know I read it.
Sure.
But no, I thought it was
Right.
low. And that's number one. And number two, I think, I'm sure staff has realized maybe with this grand jury discussion all the time, looking at the district, we can include how we just invested in a sprinkler system in that unit there. So to show them for disaster preparedness. So
For next time.
yeah, for next time. So this one here will, if there's any other staff comments, but we could.
I move we approve and proceed with authorizing the general manager to enter into a contractual agreement with Battalion 1 Fire Protection for the repair of the Crystal Springs Pump Station fire sprinkler system for $40,333
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and second on this agenda item, and any further discussion on it? If not, we will call for a roll call vote, please.
Director Coverdale,
Yes.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Reynolds is absent. Vice President Michelson.
Yes.
President Muller.
Aye. Okay, that one's moved on. Thank you for that safety work, which, as I said earlier, I think it's very important that we include that in our grand jury report, that we are progressive and looking forward to safety for not only the system, but for our employees. So
I like the price. We got a great bid.
I think so.
$10,000, less. Wow. Yeah, it's great. Really great.
So moving on to item C, it's a little bit bigger agenda item there. So
Item B.
I'm sorry. D, that's what I meant to say. Item D.
No, B is
B.
boy.
B is in boy. Did I miss that one? I did. I'm sorry. I haven't done these meetings too much in my life. So anyway, I apologize. Thank you, staff, for correcting the chair. He deserves it. So we'll move to item B now, which will be Mary's presentation on this one. Is that correct?
Actually, James is going to take this one.
I'll come up here, why not?
All right, thank you.
So as you know, we have two spares, or as you might know, we have two spare pumps at Crystal Springs. We have one pump that'll go in the P1 or P2 position, which is the lower flow. And then we also have a spare for the P3 position. When we went to the board back last April to replace P2, we waited until just recently for the replacement pump to show up that you authorized last year.
Wow.
We talked to Wayne, and they're still looking at 40 to 52 weeks to build a pump. Things are improving with supply chain, but we don't want to have to wait a year for a pump in case we blow a couple of pumps. So we want to order another one so that we'll have a full set, one for P1, P2, and P3. And if we got to wait a year, we can wait a year because we'll have 3 brand new pumps in the pump station. So that's the comfort level we're looking for. Pump repair service is the only vendor for the flowaway pumps. We've talked about the flowaway pumps and looking at other brands. I've talked to Wayne about it. That's the only pump manufacturer will meet that design point of, I think it's 850 total dynamic head. It's a lot of pressure on the pumps. So we were asking you to waive the procedural requirements and sole source it through pump repair service, and also authorize $88,148 for a replacement pump. And I also found out that they are going to increase their pricing by 5% in the next few months if we don't purchase now. So that's another added savings.
Through the president, can I ask a question? Do you know what we paid for the last P1 and P2 are the same pumps?
Yep.
Do you know what we paid for P1?
78, I believe.
So it's 10 grand more, and that was a year ago?
Yeah.
Wow. Don't you love inflation?
Wow. It's transitory, man.
Wow. Wow.
Get slow in mind here. We have 3 pumps up there, right?
Yes.
P1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And we have how many spares up there now?
We have 2 spares. We have one for the
P1 and 2,
little one and a big one.
and one for P3.
Yes.
And you want to now buy another one, which will be delivered in about 52 weeks.
Yes.
So we still have 2.
3.
We got 2 on the floor.
Yeah.
We got 3 in the hole, so to speak, 3 operational. This one that you're going to authorize tonight will be an additional spare. So we'll have 2 spares for the small pump and then 1 spare for the big one.
Okay, but then I noticed on the proposal, there was a possibility of doing a repair to
Yes.
something and getting it in 20 weeks.
Right.
So my question is,
And I'm sorry, I brushed over that.
yeah, the risk,
Right.
there's some risk in waiting 52 weeks versus doing it in 20, if in fact you can do it in 20. I'm glad we're doing it. I
Right.
have no problem with that. The money's good, everything's fine, but why don't we want to do it in half the time and have the extra availability of another pump?
In
We have to repair it.
modern society, we just throw it away and buy a new one.
No, I guess we're doing that. but
Yeah.
It's still just a question of perspective.
I think,
I'm sure you're.
what's more reliable or what would you have the most confidence?
So Darren and I went out to Pump Repair Services, look at the old pump and talk to Wayne about it and look at the impellers and the bowls. And he showed many things that you can't really make up, like on some of the impellers. You can spray weld them, but it's not gonna be as efficient as a brand new one. And the pricing is only $18,000 or $15,000 difference. I feel comfortable with 2 spares up there now waiting for a new pump. If we had to rebuild, I'd probably come to you and say we're gonna have to rebuild it because we can't wait, but we don't have to rebuild. So it's gonna be a much more efficient pump and last longer. I think spending the 73 grand on an old pump would be kind of a waste.
And what is the lifetime? Because I've been here so long, we bought some years,
Give or take.
this is not the first pump we bought.
Oh,
Seems like we buy them pretty regularly.
and have you ever seen them?
8 to 10 years.
Rick and Monsters.
I just want
Yeah,
to.
what, 350?
It's not a lot of work. I mean, you look at the lake and look how far they pumped.
Oh, yeah. I know. They're working hard.
300 something PSI. But those are good questions. In terms of rebuild versus purchase.
So I'd like to make a recommendation. We waive the procedural requirements in the district's policies and procedures for award of contracts and authorize the general manager to enter into an agreement with Pump Repair Service Company, i.e. Wayne, to purchase a new spare pump for the Crystal Springs pump station for $88,148.
Yeah, I'll second that.
It's been moved in second, and we had a little earlier discussion. Thank you, board members. I think my own comment would be the history of pump repair service for all of us on the Coastside since 1941. It's about the only reliable company we have left around the Bay Area anymore. So thank you for continuing to follow up with professionalism there with this company. So we have a motion and a second, and we'll call for a roll call vote, please. And thank you, staff, for explaining that to us.
Director Coverdale?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Director Reynolds is absent. Vice President Michelson?
Yeah,
President Moore?
I guess we'll have to do the yes thing and not the I thing. I got outvoted on yes. In the old days, it was I.
I'd say yes.
You started it. All right, very good there, my fellow board members, and I'll get on track here to do it the right time this time. So now we're at C, correct?
Yes.
I would try to get ahead of ourselves there, checking it off. C, yes, okay. Well, moving on up here again, and so it looks like, Mary, you might have to do this one.
Yes, I'm going to do this one. So, given the storm damage that occurred over the New Year's Eve weekend, we need to move quickly on the pipeline replacement on Highway 92 on the emergency section. And so EKI is in the process of designing the replacement pipeline for the emergency restoration project. And this replacement pipeline will involve a realignment of the pipe that will require multiple new easement acquisitions. So in order to expedite the easement acquisition and to streamline the process, staff is recommending that we hire a real estate firm that specializes in easement acquisitions for public agencies, who will manage the process from acquiring third-party appraisals, negotiating with the property owners, and through to escrow. So Laura Radcliffe, she has been great in helping us. She found a number of firms who actually do this work, recommended by her staff and also ones that she has worked with. And so she helped in getting proposals, and we received proposals from 3 different firms. I had the opportunity to interview the 3 firms, and they were all excellent. I mean, just really, great people who I spoke with. 2 of the firms came in at similar prices, and then another firm was a lot more expensive. So the firm that the firm I felt that was the best match, OPC or Overland Pacific and Cutler. I'm recommending them for this job. They are They have a big presence in Northern California, actually have an office in Alameda, but they actually, the people we'd be working for are more out in Sacramento, but they do work all over the Bay Area. They specialize and do, well, they don't necessarily say specialize, but they do a lot of work with water and wastewater agencies. And they also have a lot of experience dealing with agricultural land. So, I felt they're, a good fit. Staff, the staff I met, they were personable. And, I think, as I say, I think it would be good with talking to our property owners. So so we're asking to move forward, and we did get quotes. We asked these parties to give us quotes for doing all of 92, but we're not quite there yet in terms of, first of all, we don't even know what we would do for an alignment, and also it may be, we don't know timing. It could be, 2 or 3 years out before we would even, consider doing the future phases. So I just, so at this point, we'll see how this works. And, we'd like to move forward with OPC. So questions?
What's in your name, I guess? Is there a Mr. Overland or Mr. Pacific and the couple? No, this is a very interesting name. Cutler I can sort of relate to, unless there's something I don't know that Cutler represents geographical. But Overland, Pacific, and Cutler, that's a very interesting name.
Thank you. Yeah, I was comfortable with part of their proposal is their experience with acquisitions involving agricultural land. I think it's very important to all of us. And while I'm there, I think a real key to this proposal here is the current location on 92, a new location that runs through private properties. The primary importance to the district is to ensure the continued supply of potable water to the communities you serve and enhance the safety of infrastructure. I think those were really wonderful comments in my reading that. And also the appraisal review work is performed under the requirements of uniform standards of professional appraisal practices. So it's very positive that we are using a professional firm because we all knew and grew up with the property owners. So this is a great separation of this board with the negotiations with our friends and families that we've known. So I think it's looking pretty solid. I think that's my highlight. So
I had no idea that there were people who did this for a living. No, this is a learning process for me. I had no idea that they had companies that actually provide this as a service.
That's good.
Interesting. No, I think it's a great idea because it's a very complex, sometimes very interesting, emotional thing to be dealing with people on this basis. And these guys draw the line between we and the public and have a neutral way of approaching all of this and working the problems. No, it's interesting. That's why I was.
If I can let Laura, do you have any other comments that you'd like to share? Because you've worked with a number of these parties.
Yeah, so OPC is a nationwide firm. They're highly regarded. They're I think are an excellent choice. There's a lot of folks in this field who have that expertise. It's a pretty niche area of property intersecting with infrastructure and government agencies and these very large, very expensive projects. And it takes a special expertise. So OPC certainly has it. I'm glad that you had a great interview with them, Mary. I think we're in good hands. And they add a lot of value and hopefully will make things run smoothly from the acquisition perspective and, more cost effective as well, instead of taking up a ton of your staff time or legal time or others. So I think it's a great path forward.
And the best part about this project is the alignment now will be through farm roads, whereas pipeline currently is along, for the most part, 92. So this construction will have little or zero impact on Highway 92. So that is a huge benefit for the community. As we know, 92 is prone to going at a moment's notice. So this is really a great community service.
Was this something that we brought up, or was that something that Hampton and Bridget actually
Laura,
made us aware of?
So I think we've had some discussions within our facilities.
Oh, okay, so I just,
To that this could be an option of
Okay.
finding somebody who's in real estate to do this. I know.
Yeah.
President Michael.
that's good idea. That's fine. No, it's great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then, the alignment will be on farm roads, not through flower fields, not through, currently farmed fields where they may be growing, vegetables or just through farm roads.
Well, there are some fields, but it is going to be an agreement with the property
Yeah.
owners and what can be done. But that was, we're excited and we're close to understanding the alignment for the emergency section. And so we're ready to go on this because we need to move quickly.
I have a question and a comment.
Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna add that I don't think that the full alignment for the entire project is planned yet. So
Yeah,
to the
right.
extent that we can minimize, use of personal productive fields, I think that's the goal, but that's not, a guarantee at this point.
So I had a question, and that is, when we make an agreement with these owners, do we actually take ownership or is it simply an easement?
It's an easement,
An easement,
but a perpetual easement.
okay. But so my question is, some of those properties are Williamson Act, so they can't be split up or sold. And my question is, how does that work out? Because essentially they're selling some portion of the rights to something that's under Williamson Act. So it's a legal question. I don't know. Is that an issue?
That's a good question. I know that obviously a transfer of the fee ownership would have Williamson Act implications. Typically your easement pipeline is 10 feet in length, in width or something, and you still have productive use of the surface rights, depending on where it is and what the restrictions are. So I'm not sure. I guess I would need to look into that a little more, but that's good to know that Williamson Act is implicated in these properties.
I'd like to know the answer to that. But the other thing that I was going to suggest is, even though they could use that land, if there's any kind of an issue with that pipeline, we still have the right to go in. So they really don't have the use of that land in the event of a need to repair. I hope it's not an issue. I just, when I've been thinking about it.
Yeah, the key thing is you don't want a building on top of your pipe.
Yeah.
But it is, basically a reduced value when you release it because of getting in, because it's underground.
So maybe if it goes down in value, it's okay. So,
No, but I will say just in terms of, I had at one point talked to the appraiser about the Williamson Act too. And certainly you, now practically, well, there wasn't a lot of discussion about whether we could get an easement with that, but it was more of a discussion of, the Williamson Act, they have the ability to, you have the ability to take the restrictions of the Williamson Act off your property if you pay all the back.
It's not very attractive.
It's not, but it is, it is something. I will say the other thing is most of these, all these properties do have, a lot of different, utility easements. We have PG&E and there's lots of things going on.
Well, that's why at these rates, I'm excited because if we got our attorneys involved, it'd be about 3 times. Not Laura, of course, but our other attorney.
So,
Well, and then, worst case scenario, there could be combination.
oh,
Yeah. Worst
we don't,
case. Yeah, we don't
go that way.
No, but it is written into the codes of all this stuff here. Anyway, I think that's a great report there, staff. And I think you've got the value of the future for them to have that water as mentioned is just so important for all of us that have properties. So that's an aspect right there. So any other further interest in this agenda item? It's quite quite lengthy and well done, I think.
So do you need a motion?
I think we've tossed it around. I think I would be more than happy to hear a motion, please.
So I would recommend that we authorize the general manager to retain the professional services of Overland, Pacific, and Cutler LLC. What's an OPC? For right-of-way acquisition services for the Highway 92 potable water pipeline emergency restoration project for a not to exceed budget of $61,700.
I'll second it.
So it's been moved in second, and then further discussion on the motion. Would this have any impact on the potential for federal funding with FEMA or state funding? We're moving forward with this project.
You know, my understanding, and it's still not 100% there, but my understanding is that we have to have the easements.
First.
So that doesn't fall into the FEMA buckets from what I understand.
Okay, thank you. That's a good for us to know. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Otherwise, we will call for the roll call vote, please.
Director Coverdale?
Aye.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Director Reynolds is absent. Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
President Muller?
Aye, so we're catching up. 2-2. Okay, thank you. Well done. Mary, thank you for all the work you put in, and Laura, with your recommendations, the great professionalism that we all need, and we appreciate that good work. It's a great staff report too. Thank you. All right, so we'll get moving on here. Get my agenda back in place here. And we're moving to E, I believe, right? D? How come I'm out of it? I checked them off too soon.
No, it's all right. I'm sorry.
Maybe I need to drink more water. Okay, so on to D here.
On to which one?
I thought I just did D.
No.
Okay.
No, it's only one page. It's a little bit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, here we go.
So
I'm not going to check off anything anymore.
I wouldn't.
I try to be efficient.
You're good, man.
as we consider moving forward with acquiring easements, the next step is to appoint a real property negotiator, which I am recommending to be me as your general manager. And I will be able to work with our consultants and property owners and come back with them to the board for discussion and approval of our, proposed transactions. So.
Yeah.
So being as this is a real no-brainer, can I jump to a recommendation designating General Manager Mary Rogren as the district's real property negotiator for acquisition of property rights in Highway 92 Emergency Pipeline Restoration Project?
I'll second it, but I was wondering, could we get you to be Sergeant at Arms? Like, could you go along?
Sure.
Because this guy's under good.
No, as I mentioned earlier in our discussion with the previous item, that it's great to have separation between friends, family, maybe not friends, family. We separated ourselves.
Somebody's going to be negotiating with my cranky old dad when it comes to the nursery portion. He's got a whole CCWD hostage.
Well, wait till they're.
Well, he has a conflict because he was on the board at one time.
Yeah.
The future phase.
So I think we're putting a little humor into it, but I think Mary, you're well deserved to be our great negotiator. Staff has already met with property owners a couple of times and have a nice working relationship building from there, and we just have to build some more. So we have a motion and a second, I believe.
Yes.
And so we will call for a roll call vote.
Director Coverdale?
Aye.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Director Reynolds is absent. Vice President Michelson?
Yeah.
President Miller?
Aye, thank you. Well done, all of you.
Yeah, great job.
This 92 project, thank you. Storms and floods, and I can just share, I'm at the bottom end here, our property, and let me tell you, our fields are gone.
Yeah.
I mean, they are just washed all the way down to the coast. And it's not that simple to find clean fill anymore. People want to bring you dump truck loads of material, but guess what? Bricks, cement, metal in them. We'd love to have some nice clean fill, but boy,
I wish you would have told me, man. I just got rid of about 100 yards.
oh God, don't tell me. We have a big ditch where the creek took it all away.
Well, now I know.
Yeah. All righty. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Hopefully we can move on without messing this up there, Mr. Cherry. Oh, you got a lot of highlights on this one here.
Good thing you got multiple colors.
If you're green, you're okay. If you're pink, look out. So we go back to quarterly review, information only. So I did put that one in blue. So we'll go ahead for information quarterly review there.
Yeah. So it's hard to believe that we're already 9 months into this fiscal year. So I would like to start out, before we talk about the financials, it's just where we've come in terms of historical sales. You can see this chart shows, from over 10 years of sales and 11 years actually with this year, but we are projected to close the year with less than 480 million gallons.
Wow.
And that's coming off of, some much higher years. And so we were projecting in our budget, we originally had 550 million gallons. We had already seen some reductions. We've been in this drought, for the last 3 years, and we've seen some, reductions from 2020, 2021, 635 million gallons. And now we've just, I will say our customers have done a very good job of conserving water. Thank you for all of Kathleen's outreach, but right now I wanted to just share that. It is interesting, back in 2013-14, which was the start of the last drought, really got, as we're looking for 697
Wow.
million gallons. So it's just anyway, I did, so given that we are way down in our usage, our sales, we are actually, 1.3 million off on our water revenue. We had some benefits with our, interest and our county tax receipts. So the total revenues are, 900,000 below our budget. So it's been, it's challenging as we have lower sales. But I will say that, we've come through with actually reducing our operating expenses. Now I will say, about 600,000 of the operating expense savings comes from, water, not purchasing water from SFPUC and PG&E savings. So, that's a big chunk of that. Roughly 250,000 are, personnel savings with open positions. Yeah. So it is something. The other details are in the staff report, but I think, our staff's done a good job, and I think we all, we spend wisely. So at the end of the day, we're pretty much, break even right now with our contribution to our CIP and reserves. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. We, let's say it is, we are back to now having, we quit using the wells as of the end of March because of our permits. So are going back to, as you know, some more SFPUC water. But on the other side, also, we have been able to start up Denison just in the last week. We haven't been able to take water from Denison due to the turbidity, so this is a start for us. So anyway, so any questions on?
Through the chair, I just want to compliment you because I think you guys have done a marvelous job economizing. And, obviously you were aware of the sales and the trend it was going through. And I think it's a tribute to your management. I think it's a tribute to staff stepping up and doing more than one position worth of work. I know you guys are just overloaded with a lot of stuff. And so I would just like to compliment you. I'd love for you to fill the positions personally, but it's pretty hard to look at that and not be pleased that they haven't been filled yet. So I just would like to say job well done. I mean, when we are $902,000 short in revenue and we're essentially only $25,000 off in our contribution to reserves, that's unbelievable. If the federal government could manage the money that they push around the way that you guys do, maybe we'd have a balanced budget. So I just want to compliment you and tell you thanks. I really appreciate it. I hope our customers appreciate it because you're just doing a great job. That's what I think.
Yeah, very good. Just a little brief comment here on the early paragraph up there. The 32,000 higher late fees than planned. And I think with legal staff advice, would this be appropriate time to mention about the unpaid water bills? Can we include that, or what does the higher late fees mean than planned?
That means that people, we had budgeted an amount for our late fees. We actually reinstated late fees in July 2022. So we weren't sure on what we would be getting. Now it does indicate that it could be past due bills, but we're watching our aging carefully, and I think and I'll say Nancy does a great job of and the customer service staff reaching out to customers. So nice. We have also been trying to promote also the there is a state program that our customers can go to get relief. So we're trying to push that as well. But
yeah, thank you for that comment. And then, that we've all faced with this $138,000 emergency repairs. I mean, that's out of our control. It goes back to that wonderful storms that we love and hate.
Well, that's what I'll say. Also, the results include that extraordinary expense, $138,000. So anyway, we were able to absorb that. Staff was very busy, so there are probably other. There may have been some things we didn't do during the storm, but that we'd like to do. So, but it is we were able to absorb that.
Yeah, thank you with Steph and James. Also on the last page, the supply chain issue is eating up all the businesses in America right now too, right? Correct. So thank you for keeping track of our supply chain, whether it's pumps or valves or whatever, but that will be more reports later, but I wanted to comment on that on this page there. So thank you, and thank goodness we have a finance expert on staff. Makes it easy. All right.
And the Mary's comment regarding the fact that we had the cooperation of the community is, I think, the reason for some of these numbers looking like they do. But you know what? That's what we told them to do. That's what we asked them to do, and that's what we said they had to do. They did it. And we knew that this would be the result of that. And the fact that even with that, we're still able all of us be holding the line 9 months into the year is really a credit to the organization and to the community as well for behaving and doing what they had to do to keep us whole. And we've done our best to show them that we could do things to help to defer or defray what they've been doing to help us, which we did. So I think it's remarkable.
Well said. And, it's not too far away where we have the big B discussion coming up, that budget again, right? But let's get through April 1st. So thank you for that.
Past April 1st.
Yeah. All right. So now we got to go with this guy next to me here.
Yes.
And
The big B. Sounds like a big giant B coming after
the budget.
I know, that's
The budget bomb.
the budget one.
All right.
There's currently a vacancy on LAFCO and for the special district regular member. And so LAFCO has recently opened up the nomination period to fill the special district regular member position that expires in May of 2024. And Director Michelson is currently serving as the special district alternate member and has expressed an interest in being nominated for a regular member position. So nominations must be submitted via letter from the board president and must be received by LAFCO by May 3rd.
Wow.
Yeah. So just quick comment. So I did attend my first LAFCO meeting, and it was, kind of humbling to walk in the Board of Supervisors chambers and see your name on the dais. So I did sit because the seat is currently vacant. So as an alternate, I did sit. And I tell you, these are really meaty issues that hit LAFCO. And I was really, really honored to be making some really, really tough decisions that, in this case, affect, a very, very small community that probably very few of us are aware of or could put our finger on, the city of Broadmoor, that has its own police department. It was really satisfying to be a part of the process at the county level after having served so many years here at the city level. And I would be really honored to fill that chair on a full-time basis, because I think there's some really great things that can be done there. And I think the 21 years I've been sitting here have really given me an acute understanding of the role that infrastructure plays in a community. And I know next month we're going to be talking about a special district that has neglected its infrastructure. So boy, if anybody's highly qualified to speak on infrastructure issues affecting special districts, I've certainly learned it here from everyone in the room and beyond. So it'd be a real honor to sit in a permanent seat. Thanks.
Good. And I think I would like to make the motion myself at this point to nominate Director Chris Michelson to serve as special district regular member on the San Mateo LAFCO pursuant to Government Code Section 56332. I so move.
I'll second it.
Been moved in second, and I guess we don't want to have too much discussion about this name, but we'll call for the roll call vote, please.
Director Coverdale.
Well, I'll say aye as long as it's Vice President Chris Michelson in our recommendation.
Director Bellman.
Yes.
Director Reynolds is absent. Michelson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vice President Mueller.
Aye.
President Mueller, sorry.
Did you see that? We got an absolutely.
Yeah.
2-1. An extension.
He's trying to kiss up to it. Slowly. Slowly. Very good. So
Well, I have a comment on that.
Yeah.
I think you're going to do a great job.
Yeah.
I would love to see LAFCO take some action. We've got issues on the coast that have gone on years after years. And is Martha still running the show?
No, it's someone new, a new, young, enthusiastic, or Bartoli is his name, Ray, or Robert. Young, enthusiastic, was really welcoming. And I couldn't agree more. And it was, I think it's time. Special districts need to be taken to task. And we're doing the public's work and we should be doing it in a very transparent way. And we shouldn't be putting the public at risk. And I think there are some really deficient special districts. And we're going to look at, like I said, we're going to look at one next week. I won't tip the, I won't say in public who it is. It's a special district on the other side of the hill. But they've been deficient in maintaining infrastructure. And that's not why we were elected. We were elected to maintain and the infrastructure that provides safety for our community. And in our case, for drinking water, and in other cases, it could be sewer or fleet services. But that's what we're supposed to do. And some districts are a little remiss, and we're there to prove them that they are a public agency accountable to the voters, and if not to the voters, certainly to LAFCO.
Mr. Vice Chair, the discussion is over. The motion was made.
Is there, technically, there are other nominations if possible. Others may be nominated too. I'm just, how does the process is done?
Yeah, other districts could put other people forward.
Yeah. I mean, so we have to wait for the culling of the nominations and then the final vote comes.
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 people ran for the alternate seat when I ran.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But we don't know who they are.
We don't know who yet. We don't know.
But we will know at some point. They will announce, and there'll be a vote on that as well.
Right.
Okay,
We've arranged for the ballot to
Be ready to.
be ready after that. Come to President.
Okay,
Thank you. No, I hadn't seen.
Well, that's good job. Congratulations. We look forward to you representing the Coastside in a fair manner. Okay, now we move on to communication stuff here. Second Amendment item T.
Yeah.
So, Mary,
So,
another one for us.
T-Mobile, which our contract has gone under Metro PCS. They currently have cell tower equipment at our Alice tank on Amir Montes. And so these cell tower companies are getting a lot of pressure from the state to do what they call hardening, which would be putting a generator in as backup. And so rather than bring in temporary generators, which they've been doing, which is frankly disruptive for us, they are going to come in and put in a permanent generator. And also they're going to upgrade their antennas. They're adding 3 more antennas for 5G. So we have, our staff has reviewed all the plans and we've had discussions. We feel like the location of the equipment is probably fine. Although there's some language that if we had to move, we could down the road, but we feel like the locations, we won't get in the way if we recode or replace the tank at some future date. What they're, because they're spending a lot of money on the generator, they wanted to get some additional terms of the agreement, and we came down to basically 1 term, so that the contract expires in 2028, but this would extend for 1 more 5-year term. So basically, then we're going to with this agreement, we would get an additional $15.60 a month. So we would, I will say, Patrick has spent a lot of time reviewing this agreement over it's been going back and forth for a number of years, so like 2 or 3 years. I don't know, Laura, if you actually had you reviewed some of this too, but it is, we recommend that the board approve the Second Amendment.
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
Project and a question, if I may. It seems to me, because I think I understand where this is, because when we were interviewing Barry Rubber, we were standing right there at this tank. These things are noisy. I don't know if anybody's got a generator like this in your neighborhood, but they're loud. And my concern is that the best location in terms of noise attenuation? Because it seems to me that across the street from this tank is where that whole community housing project is. And I don't know if you've ever had anybody fire up a deal in your neighborhood, but I got a neighbor that fires one up and it's unbelievable. I mean, it actually shakes the windows, it shakes the walls. So I'm concerned about soundproofing of this thing. And I didn't really study exactly in detail about what's going around it, but I don't think it's a full-on enclosure. And so I'd like to know what the decibel deal is going to be on this thing so it doesn't disturb people. And I think, don't you jog up that road or something? Isn't that one of your favorite? Up Montes, do you go up there to Poppy? Do you go up there?
I go up there once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Again, this is an emergency generator. It only goes on.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
No, I understand. I know they're noisy. I understand.
Yeah.
I can't comment on that, James.
But it
Because that
does have an enclosure.
far over, but I'm just not sure.
does have an enclosure.
For a weatherproofing or soundproofing?
I'm reading the specs now. I'm not sure about soundproofing, but I'm sure it's got sound attenuation. But we could always look at that if you feel that's. We have our diesel generator just on the other side of the tank. So I understand with all the power outages, the rattling of an unleaded generator is much higher pitch than the low rumble of what we get from our diesel generators. It sounds like a truck.
Yeah.
Truck running. We got one right out here. Mary listens to it once a month when we test it. We try to adjust it around our schedule a little bit. So it is disruptive, but it's right outside of our window. This is sited right next to their equipment. Makes a lot of sense. And it's tucked in the hill. I don't think it's going to be a noise issue.
So approximate distance to a nearest residential, just probably
250 feet, probably. It's all the way up the hill, kind of tucked in there.
Well, except the thing, if you look at the profile of the site, you've got this hillside condition, right? And then you've got the reflectivity of the tank. It's just a big steel tank that's got water in it, right? So that's just my comment. I mean, I'm fine with proceeding. I think the income's good, but I just think it's worth talking to them about.
Yeah, we did put in a clause in the lease agreement that basically it's clause D, and it basically says that let's see.
They'll address all noise complaints.
That's exactly what Director Coverdell was talking about.
Yeah, it's basically, lessee will provide written notice of any disturbance to lessee, and lessee must provide a written response to lessor promptly. Lessor will coordinate with the lessor to resolve this disturbance as soon as possible. Thereafter, if such disturbance cannot be resolved to the satisfaction of the lessor, then the lessor may direct the lessee to shut down the generator or discontinue the activity causing such disturbance until such time as the disturbance has been resolved.
Cool. And it says here that this is going to be a diesel.
Yes.
Okay, so, but I'm glad to see the clause, and I don't mean to be like that, but I live in a quiet neighborhood, and when it gets noisy, I'm not a happy guy. Well, I like quiet.
I think these conditions protect CCWD. And that's the main thing we want to ensure. And also they have to meet state and federal and local ordinances to do it right. So
Yeah, we could point have no impact.
Yeah.
If we paint or alter the tank or something to the anything, right? James,
Yeah.
It doesn't have any impact on the tank itself. It needs to be.
It will not interfere. It will not interfere with any
Okay, fine.
future work.
That's important.
And to be honest, it's going to be a big relief for Darren's crew because, as you can imagine, these guys that come out and put portable generators and whatnot, they're running a tight schedule. So they call us and say, we need it in 5 minutes. We say, make an appointment.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of back and forth. And once they start their generator, they'll start it before the power outage starts, if there's a planned one. And they'll run it for, sometimes we got to call them and say, hey, you got to go turn that off. This is going to have an automatic transfer switch. So it'll turn on when it's needed and will shut off when after.
Okay, so it's actually improved.
It will minimize the noise in that fashion. And I also do see that there's an enclosure on it. I'm just not sure what the attenuation rating is on that.
Yeah, I don't mean to be nitpicky, but living next to it.
Yeah, that one.
I think that's considered.
everybody on my block has a generator except me.
Oh my gosh, it's just, and I agree with the powering it up. We can't communicate without it. I get all that, but It just, it's like dark sky. It just keeps getting more and more lit up. Because nobody ever says, don't light it up.
As your comments are, the whole country is looking for communication. So, we'll be part of that, but make sure we don't interfere with the public. So I think we've made that clear. So good job there. We still would need a motion to move forward with this agenda item.
I'll do it. I'll make a recommendation to authorize the general manager to execute Second Amendment to the communication site lease agreement with Metro PCS California LLC for the expansion of the Lissy premises located at Miramontes Point Road and Poppy Lane in Half Moon Bay for the installation of a new diesel generator and antenna additions for an additional rent of $1,560 per month.
Moved in second. I'll second. We have a second there. Any further discussion on the agenda item? If not, we will call for a roll call vote, please, on this agenda item.
Director Coverdale,
Affirmative.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Reynolds is absent, Vice President Michelson,
Aye.
President Mueller.
Aye, thank you. James, you've been very popular this evening here. Thank you with all the other staff. You're in the field and you're in the office. So it's a nice office day for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It is. This is update number 20 on the Nunes project. Happy that we brought this back and that Ranger is moving along. Things are starting to pick up the pace out there a little bit. They're good at staying busy if they short on parts and whatnot. So the MCC has been set. Mary's got the pictures up there, so that'd probably be good to go ahead and go through that. Since the last board meeting, they've chipped out all the concrete and the under drain out of filter 4. They've grouted it. They set the studs for the under drain. It's now getting blasted by the painters. You'll see here, this is what filter 4 looks like. That's without the under drains in there. These are all the mounting brackets for the under drains that will have the air scour. That's what the layout looks like. I'm glad I'm not laying out those studs because if they're not in the exact location, it's going to be tough to get them to fit. And there's some more pictures of the gentleman there working in the filter. So they had to place a little bit of grout in there. And now after they blast and do crack repair, they'll get in the coating people to do that. And then they'll set the under drains. You can see the MCC being offloaded here. There's a little pipe misalignment thing. Ranger quickly just customized the fitting.
Wow.
It's hard to see that on the drawings. A couple pipes that were supposed to be lined up weren't, which is pretty rare for Teeter. We'll have to call him and send him that picture. Oh, Teeter. Pretty minor. We didn't catch it on the drawings either. Chemical injection point for the filter when you're in filter waste mode, when you're sending water to the front of the plant. So that's what those pictures are. And then we've got the electricians working on the new sed basin. We're still waiting on the slide gate. Should be here at the end of this month, early next. And then you can see the electricians working on the new MCC. We are still short on a VFD, but we think we found a Toshiba. Yes. What? A VFD, variable frequency drive.
Oh, I knew that.
Yeah. Sorry. Flies right off. MCC's motor control center. Talking too fast. We think we've got a good line on the Toshiba VFD. That's one of the critical path items, as well as the slide gate. We got positive messages from the vendors that those will be showing up soon. We should have the variable frequency drive by the end of the month, and or at least the beginning of May, and also the valves are showing up in pace, so that's good. Then next month, they're just basically we work on a filter 4, finishing that and loading the media before we move on to filter 3. So this is a good test and good for them to get a sequence going of working on these filters. Do you have any questions for Dan?
No, I think that's an excellent presentation. We have to continue to reassure our customer base that the plant is still operating like you have done for me before. So thank you.
Yes, it is.
Still operating. And just with the looks of going out 92, there's a lot of slumps and slides and everything all the way over the hill. But our project has held very solid up there, right?
Yeah.
God bless for that, really. Because that part of the hill over there is questionable at times when you drive by with the water coming down that hill. It's still coming down today, so we have to be aware, but our property ends up there.
Yeah, we're very solidly in bedrock.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very important. And then we'll keep working with the neighbors to send them good water back up east way instead of the west way. But thank you for that. And 2024 is not that far away anymore after all the years we've been looking at when the parts can show up, right? But I know, thank all of you and staff for continuing to move this project forward. And I guess last softball question, with this investment, us baby boomers are getting pretty old. Will we ever see it have to be redone in the next 25 years, or what's our?
No, these filters should last us 30 to 40 years.
Okay, yeah. So we can guarantee the people that we're spending money for, don't worry about it. We got a good plan for 30, 40 years. So thank you for that.
Solid investment.
Yeah. So.
What do they use to waterproof? What, do you know what the material
The
is?
coating?
Yes.
Well, it depends on what they're doing. They use a certain type of grout for filling the cracks because we want to make sure that the cracks are filled. We have a structural person coming out for that. But the product that we use is Enduraflex, 100% solids, and they do 100 mils on it. So when you come to the plant and you see the chemical area that's yellow, that's Enduraflex. And that was done in the short-term improvements project.
Enduraflex.
And yeah, ENDUR.
And is it, does it have to meet a standard in terms of health?
Yes, it has to meet NSF 61.
NSF 60. Thanks.
Food grade, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Great job. We're looking to maybe still be around to get our name on the plaque up there.
Yeah.
Still waiting for a belt. Big Crystal Spring.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta have the best. The investment is wonderful. Thank you, James, for all the work and all your staff surrounding you. Thanks for your support. Keep moving. That's very important. So now back to information only, Mary, our world famous FEMA operation between all the disasters America has had. Oh my gosh, let's just hope we can pick up a few crumbs.
Yeah. So we're making progress on our application submittal for funding for the damage from the storms. And so staff met with FEMA on April 5th here in the office. And so we had quite a large group. We had 3 people related to FEMA, and then we had the full group up on Zoom who walked us through the process. But the next step is for a site inspection. So that's going to happen on May 1st. So with that, then we'll be able to finalize our application. So our application is due no later than June 4th.
Yeah, tight schedule.
So it's a tight schedule. There's lots of paperwork and lots of check boxes and things. So, but we'll see what we get. Basically the section of the pipe that we're asking for, we're estimating will cost us about $2 million to fix the whole. There are other sections that are part of the emergency, but it'd be wonderful if we could get the money. Basically it's a 75% grant if we get it, but then we can get a grant from the state. The state will give 75% of 25%. Wow. So we can see, but it is something that there are lots of hoops to jump through. So we're just figuring out what hoops they are, and so anyway. So the next item, I just wanted to let you know that, back in October, we sent a letter in response to the grand jury report on the other water worry is your water provider prepared for the big one. And with that grand jury report that was released last summer, they had two recommendations that by March 31 of 2023 that the water service provider had performed exercises consistent with the emergency response plan. And the second item was that we have provided, done analyses and after action reports, both on exercises and events. We've taken this to heart, and we have done many exercises, and we've also, just in terms of events, including the storm and having an active shooter in our community, we've done active, after action reports. We have a firm that we're working with who has helped us, walk through some of the process, and they're also helping James put together an exercise for the summer with multi-agencies on the coast. That we're excited about. So anyway, I wanted to let you know that we sent a letter out. I sent it as a courtesy to the grand jury. So, and we didn't feel like we needed to have a board approval action on that. The third item on my general manager's report, in late February, Nicole Sankula released a statement that's in your package that is, it's old news, but, I don't know if Chris wants to comment on it, but it's basically that, the State Water Resources Control Board has announced an aggressive schedule for consideration of a voluntary agreement for the Tuolumne River that will provide greater water flows and increased habitat to protect fish and a reliable water supply for the Bay Area. So, Vice President Michelson, do you want to comment? Or
no, I believe I touched on this at a prior meeting. Yes, it is an aggressive schedule. So we were happy. It'd be nice to operate in the water world with a little more clarity. And with this pending lawsuit, we didn't know really what the future looked like. So we may have at least some resolution in the next year as to how we can move forward. Although with pending legislations now that could potentially reallocate the water in the state. Suddenly when we saw clarity, now it's getting fuzzy again. So, but one step at a time. So we hope to see that this is resolved based on science instead of, hysteria. It's really the goal is that we start managing our ecosystem based on science. So there is a hope and optimism that we can come to an equitable resolution here.
I think you mentioned ACRA. ACRA, I believe, is taking a position on that state regulation stuff pretty severely.
Yeah.
They're taking a vote no.
And the Raker Act could potentially be thrown out the window. I mean, this was an act of Congress that billions of dollars of infrastructure was.
No, ACRA's, right on top of this thing.
Yeah.
They're representing the whole state water system. So I they're trying to get to move it to that direction. I just don't, I'm optimistic that somehow or other they're not going to pull this one off. The state water one.
Yeah, so
there's a lot of people that are.
we could agendize that at
Yeah, so
another time. We can agendize that.
Yeah, we should, in the future meetings.
And give an update on
Maybe
that.
after the ACRA session next time.
yeah, when's the next outcome meeting?
10th
May.
of May. Well,
The day
9, 10,
after,
11.
the day after.
Our meeting.
Yeah, a couple of us, some of us are going down for the day.
Yeah, but it's certainly worth it.
The next day, I think Glenn made them.
Go full time.
So we'll just have to keep seeing what ACRA's up to.
Yeah.
They're a strong voice in this. Really strong voice.
Yeah, so your role is definitely important. Thank you, Laura, for not buzzing a gong in us here for going a little off track. I know you're holding back. So yeah, that will be a future agenda item. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for bringing us back on track.
Thanks.
You can tell our illustrious attorney that we're consistent in this.
We did prep before, before this meeting, and he gave me a heads up on how discussion can flow.
I would wonder.
Well, I think you have to realize the last few days, which we've missed for many, many years, we've had fog. So it does kind of impact local guys and gals there. That fog finally caught up with it. So we stretched the fog discussions. So thank you for that. And James, you're the hero tonight here. We got to give him my award up and down time. So we'll let you go ahead and give us some updates. Thank you for the written comments about it all. And go ahead, please.
Sure. Yeah, last month, at the end of the month, we had to turn off the Pillarcitos wells. It really is terribly hard on staff when they see all that water by in the creek, but we've tried running them past that in past years. That didn't go out too well. So gotta comply with our permit. But we did get 26 million gallons last month, total of 98.7 million gallons for the season. If we run at every gallon per minute to a T, I think we stop at like 120-ish. So we did our best. We had a couple power outages that were very short-lived. And I want to just compliment Mary for her being supportive of us keeping the tree trimming and take care of some hazards back there. Staff is shocked at how little we had power outages, because if one tree goes at the beginning of the canyon, it knocks the whole well field out. So we're looking at different ways that we can further maximize that investment and exercise our water right there. So we appreciate the support there. Dennis water treatment plant's at 300 now. We started up at 400. Due to the turbidity, we've kind of lowered it a little bit, and we want to keep Nunes going. So it's a balance with the current water demand. We've been seeing 700 gallons a minute for months on end. So people aren't using enough water right now for us to keep everything fired up. That's another reason we haven't fired up Denison, is because we have the well field running. Pillarcitos. We just didn't have enough demand to run both. Key operations staff did attend the OSHA 10-hour certificate course with the city of Half Moon Bay and SAM staff. We did that cooperatively, and we did it over at Adcock Center. It was nice to have everyone together and talking about safety for that. And that was mostly the lead guys with Coastside that did that. Nunes water treatment plant, we talked about that. Transition from the old backflow program to the new backflow program, which is Swift Comply. Swift Comply bought XC2 and then have been kind of pushing their new module. It's going very well. Dustin's been leading the backflow program with my supervision. He's doing a great job, and we are no longer going to have to handle paper after next month. The testers are going to have to enter it electronically, and that's going to save us a lot of staff time here. A lot of agencies will charge the testers to do that. We've talked to Mary about we pay a little bit extra for our licensing, and it's free to the testers because they're just going to pass it on to the customer. So that's just another way of been trying to help out the backflow customers. Much better interface, and once we get it going, if you guys want to look at it, we can do that too. The WIMS Hawk database, which is the replacement for Todd's access database, it's under testing and getting configured, and we're very close to switching over to that. Half Moon Bay tank mag meter project. We're waiting on the vault. Hopefully in the next couple of months, they'll get started on that. Grandview is now complete. The city has signed off on the punch list item, so we'll get a notice of completion to the board next month. So that went well. Casey did a good job out there. We've talked about 92 tank projects. Mary sent out, I believe, a letter today or an email today to Jill Ekis with the city about their biological survey and some other questions they had about what direction we need to go with the tank project as far as CEQA and CDX. So stay tuned on that. And Stetson, we've submitted our 90% comment from the San Vicente pipeline design. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, go ahead. Correct. Covered up.
When do you think we'll actually be able to go to bid on San Vicente?
I'm going to dodge that one.
Yeah.
Mary, crystal ball.
We would love to figure out how we can do it in the next year. Because we really have to really start using some, getting some water out of that source in order to, because our permit is up the end of 2026. So if we can, what we really want to do is show that we have it built and it's operational and we're getting beneficial use of the water. So it is something, and it's something, it's important to show progress in the state. So we'll see. We're
next week. Is that basically?
well, the design will be ready with, it's just everything else, all the other things that we have to.
Operations picking on steps and design right now.
Oh, I see.
No big gaps.
Yeah.
We wanted the best product we can get out.
And are you enjoying working with them? Is that a good?
Yeah, they've been a good group and they listen.
Yeah,
They listen to the operations staff, which we really like. And we're going to be meeting with Dave Leah and staff hopefully in the next few weeks to kind of go over the questions that we had.
Yeah, I really.
So far, so good.
It's a real pet project of mine.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah, I know.
We want to make it happen.
Yeah, thanks. Good job.
Yeah, and shifting gears a little bit, hopefully we're kind of aware of being included in this potential long-range plan to expand Highway 1 northbound right here by Grandview and out of North Main Street. It looks like there's a lot of construction being planned for that. Are we included in our easements and our water lines and all that?
We've been included. In fact, that's why we did the Grandview project to begin with, because we wanted to get in and get that done. You know, we put the line under Highway 1 and we wanted to get in and get it done before they would, before the city did their thing.
Yeah.
And the city has paid for relocation of one hydrant from Andriotti's, and then also the grand hydrant got reconnected as well. And that was
Why that was done.
was to get out of the way of their project.
That's a pretty major issue if they go through with it finally. So thank you.
And they were working primarily in the median, but does it go all the way across under the other side of Highway 1? Or did it just go from the median under into Grandview? Because I saw them doing some.
It goes all the way to the light at Main Street, 92 Main Street. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was focused on our infrastructure, so.
Yeah, well, but what I'm saying is Highway 1, where we went under to get to Grandview, does it go both directions? Are we under both sides of Highway 1?
Yes.
Because they're working out of the median. So
yeah, from frontage road, all the way across.
And so is that why they were doing repairs on the west side of Highway 1? Look like some sidewalk work or grading work or something, or is that unrelated to us?
The stuff in front of the farm, Andriotti's was moving a hydrant out of the way of traffic.
That's what. Thanks.
Yeah.
I just, drive by a lot. So
I noticed when you stop at the light, you start to wonder. You're right.
What's going on?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I think we've discussed that item nice thoroughly. Thank you, James, again. And Kathleen, thanks for your patience here, and hopefully the road will be open for you at this late at night.
I'm sure it will.
So please welcome.
So we'll start with good news. The drought is over for the regional water system all the way from Tuolumne to the East Bay foothills to the peninsula. So that was shown on the U.S. drought monitor that's included in the staff report. As Director Coverdale mentioned, SFPUC storage in the regional water system has recovered fully from the drought. So that's some more good news. Today, and this is where we were, Director or Vice President Michelson was talking about clarity from the state, and this is where things get a little more muddled. But today, the San Francisco SFPUC Commission, they voted to end the water shortage emergency, but it's contingent on the state's either current water conservation regulations expiring, because they're still in place right now, or if the state board takes action to rescind them. So we're still in a water shortage emergency. We still need to be at a stage 2 for a water shortage contingency plan until we're waiting for the state to either take action or to rescind the current water conservation emergency regulations, or they will expire on June 10th.
June 10th.
Yeah,
So is it,
some of them will expire.
is it your impression they might just let them expire?
But yes, that is the talk right now, that they won't take action.
They won't take action, they won't, I mean, they'll just let it cut off, let it go for a little longer and then it's gone, so they don't have to do anything.
Right.
So I'm just saying, you think that's probably what's gonna happen?
That, from what we hear, that's.
Okay, I know, that's fine, I was just thinking that assumption.
Yeah,
So after that, if they do that, I thought that, then we can,
yeah.
what we need to do to move away from the stage.
Yeah. So, what we can't,
For that?
what we can do is do what San Francisco did, and I could bring to, at the next board meeting, we could add to the agenda wording that.
Right.
So as soon as it ends for the state, it automatically ends. You kind of give prior approval.
Bring us,
Great idea.
wording on an
Great
ordinance.
idea.
a lot of the other.
Yeah, no.
Yes,
Yeah.
wording on an ordinance that would.
A resolution.
Pre-authorized.
Yeah, a resolution.
Okay, yeah, I would
As soon as.
do that. I mean, I would work in that mode now. That's my,
Okay, so.
I mean, that's what I've been saying.
Me too. Three.
Yes, Mary's anxious to see some of our water sales.
Yeah, that was pretty depressing. Less than 480 million gallons.
But I mean, but by the same token, I mean, we're not, the money is certainly but you've got, really have good water. I mean, we've got good rain and we should take advantage.
Yeah, we were very lucky. We, our customers, did their best to reduce water use, and then we started to, this water year, start getting storms again. So we had a combination of good synergy. So, and also in my staff report, I just gave you the entire press release from DWR's snowpack for April 1st, which is usually the peak snowpack. And it has a lot of links in there. If you have it on the PDF version, where you can find out more information or check the most recent data for snowpack measurements too, since it's usually a little bit delayed by the time we get to the board meeting.
Given the vagaries of the weather and the new weather we have, the new weather world, what's your view of the potential for all that snow, that 60 feet, I don't know, whatever it is, having some difficulty if it gets warm too quickly or it starts to melt too quickly? I just don't have a clue. You don't think so?
Well, everybody thinks it's a disaster, but.
Oh,
no, do you think that potential, or I'm just asking.
Well, so with climate change, the worst case.
Climate change, yes, that's my.
With the worst case analysis is we'll heat up faster than we normally do.
Right.
And the snow melt will happen faster and cause flooding along those rivers and streams and impact the valley and the foothills. It wouldn't really impact us directly, but the flooding could impact, the Delta area and in the foothills.
There is that side of it, so I'm just.
Yeah, so everyone is hoping that we don't see temperatures rise too fast.
We don't see the global.
That we can keep cooler weather so that snow melt happens slowly. That's ideal.
And that we don't have a lot of wind anymore and that the wind doesn't come back and that we never had before. I mean, again, things are different the last few years. That's my opinion. And we've had this series of massive wind events for years now, not just this year. And it's different. So things are different and you just wonder whether they will continue. And I'm just trying to lay it out that it's good to have lots of something, but it's not so good if things change a bit. So we just have to keep watching and keep our eye on things. That's exactly what I'm.
Well, they're definitely keeping their eye on the Tulare Basin there because the Boswell family, going back in history, Mr. Boswell was involved with a leadership program that he used to, when they working on the levees and the future floods in the 50s, I think they called it car riprap. He went to the junkyards and got cars and put it in and then now they're looking at hundreds of thousands of yards of material for the levee protection out there. And that's going to have a huge impact on agricultural production. Let me tell you, that basin's out there, hundreds of thousands of acres and I have friends that farm there. And they're not putting any plants in the ground for a long time. But and especially if it, as you just brought up, the snow melts quicker than we would all hope for. It's gonna be a big time mess and we
Well, we keep our eye on it, I guess, and
Yeah.
just see how it goes. But it's just, these are all things that are a dynamic situation.
Yeah, the southern portion of the Sierra got like over 300% of normal snow.
yeah.
So there, I think that's their most
Okay.
concern with
As
the,
opposed to-
and the most northern part, was a little under 200 normal. But, so they're not, I don't think they're as concerned in the north about,
Right.
sort of about flooding. It's more, I think mostly in the southern parts.
And hopefully they'll move forward with the Sites Reservoir on the north too in the future for more water impoundment storage for California. That's a big project that they've been putting off for years. They have the funding.
But even with all that, the ground recharge issues still exist.
Yeah.
And they're still trying to figure out how to solve that problem. Famine in the midst of plenty. I mean, it's weird. It's,
The governor did sign.
Miners.
The governor signed some executive orders, I believe, to allow for flooding of farmland from the excess flows in the river. So they're able
Stream
to.
alteration permits and sequel were both relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was
So
a huge step that
yeah.
CEQA reform is actually now on the table. Imagine that.
He didn't have to do us because we already were flooded in our own. They went right over the top of the wells anyway. We were doing our own percolation,
Well, that's-
groundwater.
I think it's pretty exciting to have some water to manage, don't you?
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Lord,
Sure. It's,
James, you've had a pretty good run so far this evening. I think
We're done.
Yeah.
we're pretty well there.
Right,
Any
Steve?
directors, agenda items? I think our legal staff's kept an eye on you for future agenda items. Will be put on there soon.
I just wonder if Laura's grandfather started Ratcliffe.
So thank all of you for your patience and expertise. And thank you, Laura. Hopefully sometime you can come by so-called God's country here in Half Moon Bay and stop by for a visit with our staff.
Yeah, I would love that. I will be at Aqua as well, so I will look out for you, for anyone who's attending.
Well, Bob and I'll be there and then board member Glenn will be there also the whole time.
Oh, no, they jumped it to me. Wait a minute.
Not one day.
One day.
And then consolidate some of those special districts.
James will have to give us a tip on the restaurant.
Happy to.
Where's in Las Vegas?
Yeah, we wish. Anyway, I think this brings our meeting to closure, and at this time,
Thank you.
we will adjourn the meeting. Thank all of you. Thank you, staff, for sitting in on it. We have to get you up on the agenda when